fitting than an energetic lady leading the Ministry of Energy? How could it be any different? Yet, wordplay aside, she is a determined leader who has shaken the sector from its foundations, set it on solid grounds, and is now steering our country towards an energy-independent and green future. Please welcome the Minister of Energy, Mining and Mineral Resources, Ms. Sanja Božinovska. Minister Božinovska represents a new generation of leadership, one that believes energy policy is not only about kilowatts and capacity, but also about people, innovation, and the future we build together. She is committed to ensuring that no citizen is left behind in this transition. Madam Minister, the floor is yours.
Добар ден на сите. Почитуван председател на владата, господин Христијан Мицковски, почитувана госпоѓа Татјана Молчан, генерална подсекретарка на Обединетите нации и извршна секретарка на Економската комисија за Европа при Обединетите нации. Почитуван господин Армен Григоријан, постојан представник на UNDP во Македонија, почитувани амбасадори, колеги, министри. Почитувани представници на меѓународните институции, економски лидери, академици и експерти. Почитувани медиуми, соработници, бизнес партнери, драги, да се инвестира во решенија што не носат брзи резултати, но создаваат посигурна и поодржлива иднина за следните генерации. Јас не верувам во големи зборови без дела. Верувам во соработка, стабилни партнерства, транспарентност и честна намера. Кога тоа постои, и најкомплицираните проекти се реализираат без застој. Во оваа нова ера, технологијата и вештачката интелигенција се наш сојузник, а не закана. Тие можат да ја помогнат да ја предвидиме побарувачката, да ја оптимизираме потрошувачката и да ја подобриме достапноста на енергијата. Но енергијата мора да ја користиме паметно, со фокус на луѓето, не само на машините. Дами и господа, енергетската транзиција не е трка меѓу држави, таа е заедничко патување. Ниту една земја, колку и да е голема, не може сама да се справи со климатските предизвици. Но заедно можеме да изградиме посигурни, поотпорни и почисти системи. Нашата улога, како министри и лидери, е да создадеме услови оваа транзиција да биде фер, одржлива и инклузивна и да се погрижиме никој да не остане за нас. Ниту една земја, ниту една заедница. И токму тоа е нашата насока. Како нова влада го градиме интерконекторот со Грција и со Србија. Инвестиција што ќе обезбеди директно снабдување за илјадници домаќинства и индустрии, но ќе помогне и на Европа за подобра поврзаност и сигурност при снабдувањето со газ. Ја модернизираме преносната мрежа, инвестираме во дигитализација и складирање на енергија. Дозволете ми да кажам нешто што најсилно се чувствува кога ќе дојдете овде. Оваа земја има потенцијал. Потенцијал на луѓе кои не се плашат да работат, на институции кои сакаат да се докажат и на една генерација која не сака да чека, туку да создава. И тоа е суштината на оваа конференција. Од зборови кон акција. Енергетската иднина зависи од одлуките што ги носиме денес. На овој форум ќе се слушнат многу идеи и визии. Околу 500 представници од речиси 70 земји ќе дискутираат за енергија и одржлив развој. А најважното, ќе се потпише декларацијата Скопје, документ што ќе остане како траен белег на заедничката волја да ја направиме енергетската иднина поправедна, почиста и посигурна. Сигурна сум дека оваа декларација ќе ја зацврсти позицијата на нашата држава, на енергетската светска мапа, како рамноправен партнер и двигател на позитивни промени. Во име на Министерството и во име на сите наши партнери, со гордост ви посакувам топло добре дојде во Скопје, град што со гордост е дел од глобалните енергетски промени. Добре дојдовте на 14-тиот Меѓународен форум за енергија за одржлив развој.
Thank you, Madam Minister. Your words remind us that energy transition is not just a policy. It is a national mission, one that requires leadership, partnership, and a shared commitment across every level of government. Partnerships are the engine of progress. This forum is a collaborative achievement, and none of it would be possible without the steadfast support of our partners. The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, has been a pillar of this forum, providing strategic guidance, logistical support, and critical expertise. Their partnership has gone far beyond advice. It has been instrumental in shaping the organization of this event, ensuring that every session delivers meaningful dialogue, actionable insights, and concrete benefits for our country and for the region. It is therefore a great honor to invite to the stage Mr. Armen Grigorian, resident representative of UNDP. A dedicated advocate of innovation, inclusion, and climate action, whose work has made him become our key partner in translating global ambitions into practical actions, supporting renewable energy, energy efficiency, and community-level initiatives that make a real difference. Mr. Grigorian, the floor is yours.
Dobro utro. Dobro dojdete v Skopje. Welcome to Skopje. My name is Armen. Distinguished Prime Minister Mr. Mickoski, dear President of the Government, Ms. Molchan, Under-Secretary General of the United Nations and Executive Secretary of United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, dear Ms. Boženovska, Minister of Energy, respected representatives from the 5 UN Economic Commissions, UN agencies, governments, private sector, civil society, media, dear supporters and believers of sustainable energy transition. I am very happy to be here today with you after more than a year, in fact, of close collaboration with the Ministry of Energy and other partners in North Macedonia and abroad from UNECE, as we see this important vision that we had more than a year ago come to life, the realization of a truly significant global event. This year's forum comes at a time of escalated global challenges, from intensifying climate impacts to economic uncertainty and evolving geopolitical dynamics. In this context, we must also recognize that the energy security and climate resilience are two sides of the same coin. This is why this year's theme, From Goals to Action, Powering the Future with Sustainable Energy, is more than a slogan. It reflects the urgency we feel and the growing consensus among nations that sustainable energy solutions are urgent. We must move from commitments to concrete implementation and concrete steps. Sustainable energy stands as a cornerstone of our collective sustainable future. Around the world, United Nations Development Programme is deeply engaged in advancing this agenda. In line with the UN Energy Plan of Action, UNDP's strategic plan charts an ambitious path towards a transformative energy moonshot, aiming to provide more than 500 million people globally with access to sustainable, affordable, and reliable energy, while tripling renewable energy capacity and doubling energy efficiency by 2030. To achieve these ambitious targets, UNDP catalyzes action and builds strong partnerships. Regional cooperation is our multiplier that drives systemic change. This forum is a vital platform for that purpose. Together with the energy community, we can accelerate the market coupling, invest in cross-border storage, harmonize grid codes, turning interdependence into strength. The key question before us is how we can accelerate a just energy transition, one that ensures sustainability, inclusivity, and prosperity for all. First, market development is essential. Decentralized energy systems are no longer optional. They are strategic and bring resilience, lower costs, and energy independence. It is in this line with the bold targets of the government of North Macedonia, phasing out coal plants and scaling renewables under the Just Transition Roadmap. Second, we need to design and deploy innovative financial instruments that can unlock the capital for sustainable energy solutions, as finance must follow the ambition. This forum will showcase mechanisms to make resilience bankable, blending public and private capital for grid modernization, distributed renewables, and adaptation. Third, we must harness digital intelligence using data and artificial intelligence to plan, analyze, and implement evidence-based energy policies and projects. Digitalization is a backbone of this transformation. Smart grids, digital twins, and advanced analytics unlock hosting capacity for solar rooftops, electric vehicles, and demand response. Digital platforms enable real-time monitoring, predictive maintenance, and flexibility markets, making energy systems more efficient, resilient, and transparent. The forum will showcase how digital innovation turns complexity into opportunity, optimizing every kilowatt and maximizing the impact of every investment. Most importantly, we must never forget that the people and only people drive the transition. As part of these efforts, we reaffirm our commitment to gender equality and leaving no one behind, ensuring inclusive energy transitions that empower women, youth, and marginalized communities. Integrating social protection framework with the energy sector is essential to achieve sustainable, equitable process. Work of UNDP in this country, but also elsewhere, through the Green Finance Facility and tackling air pollution initiatives, is about the people, by helping families heat their homes with clean and affordable energy, enabling businesses to invest in green solutions. We are creating healthier communities and new opportunities for growth. Every energy-efficient building, every clean heating system, every ton of emissions reduced brings us closer to the future where prosperity and sustainability go hand in hand. Dear friends and partners, I'm confident that the 14th International Forum on Energy for Sustainable Development, culminating with the Skopje Declaration, will mark a decisive step forward to smarter, cleaner, and more inclusive energy future. Thank you very much, and once again, welcome to Skopje.
Thank you, Mr. Grigorian. We acknowledge your work, the results of which have made you a true friend of our country. This forum embodies a vision in which governments, international organizations, and experts come together to turn ambition into action. From the very beginning, the United Nations stand at the heart of this platform, helping to shape the dialogue, to connect regions, and to guide countries towards sustainable energy solutions. Thanks to their leadership, this platform has become a bridge between continents, connecting governments, industry, and civil society in the shared pursuit of sustainable energy. It is therefore a great pleasure to invite our next distinguished speaker, Ms. Tatiana Molchan. Ms. Molchan is Under-Secretary General of the United Nations and Executive Secretary of the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, a leader whose commitment to multilateral cooperation and sustainable development continues to inspire action across continents. Madam Molchan.
Excellency, Prime Minister of North Macedonia, Excellencies, Ministers, distinguished participants, dear colleagues, it is really my pleasure to welcome you all at this 14th International Forum on Energy for Sustainable Development here in this beautiful city of Skopje. And we have a very important topic for this forum, a focal theme from goals to action, powering the future with sustainable energy. The forum was launched in 2010, and it has evolved really into a leading global platform for advancing sustainable energy. And this year's edition, we are very honored that is jointly organized by the regional commissions and also UNDP North Macedonia, and with the generous hosting and support of the Ministry of Energy, Mining and Mineral Resources of the Republic of North Macedonia. And today we stand, as it was mentioned by the previous speaker, at the crossroads when it comes to multilateralism in energy. The global energy transition represents not only a historic opportunity for sustainable development, but also a profound responsibility. We must build resilient energy systems that ensure a secure, affordable, and environmental sustainable supply of energy. Over the next 3 days, this forum will span across many aspects of the energy transition, from facilitating the scaling up of e-mobility to ensuring a just transition that leaves no one behind, from sustainable development of critical energy transition minerals to closing the gap in finance, and much more. The time for action is now. This is our collective responsibility. And our goal here, from the UN side, from all the partners, is really to provide those practical solutions for sharing national and regional strategies to accelerate clean energy deployment, showcasing innovating technologies and solutions from international organizations, the private sector, and academia, and presenting financing mechanisms and partnerships to expand investment. Ours is an undertaking of the utmost importance. None of us will succeed if we work in isolation. To be successful, we must engage with affected stakeholders, assess socio-economic impacts, and understand the comprehensive effects of policy choices. I'm very pleased that our sister regional commissions and UNDP extensively engaged with us, and I applaud and encourage these cross-cutting dialogues among different experts and policymakers, not only from this region, but from around the world. This serves as a model for how we can most effectively address cross-sectoral challenges with limited time and resources. Leveraging expertise and resources across the UN system will only become more important as the UN 80 initiative transforms the way of working of the United Nations. This initiative will have an impact on all of us, on organization, but most of all on how we support you, our member states. It is critical, therefore, that we understand through discussions, through engagement, your priorities, including this week, through this dialogue, so that we can most effectively and efficiently meet your needs to deliver a just energy transition. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, the challenges before us are immense, but so are the opportunities. UNECE is here alongside the UN partners to help ensure that energy is not only a driver of just transition and economic growth, but also a catalyst for sustainability and resilience. With our shared commitment and cooperation, the energy transition can deliver equitable opportunities, protect communities, and secure a sustainable energy future for all. With that, I would like to thank and to extend my gratitude once again to His Excellency, the Prime Minister of North Macedonia, to Her Excellency, the Minister of Energy, Mining and Mineral Resources, for hosting this 14th forum and for their dedication to the energy transition. I wish us all a very successful event and looking forward to hearing about the impact and the results of this forum. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Molchan, for your inspiring words and for the continuous leadership in fostering regional and international cooperation. Today we have several ministers from our government among the audience, which is a clear sign of the collective determination, as each of the ministers in their respective fields is actively contributing to improving and accelerating this transformation, because the energy transition touches every sector, every community, and each citizen. It is a particular honor to now welcome the person whose leadership and vision have placed energy high on the national agenda. Please welcome the Prime Minister of the government, Mr. Christian Mickoski. A Prime Minister who recognized the need to establish a dedicated Ministry of Energy, who understands the importance of this topic as a national priority, and who continues providing strong support for the country's green transition. Prime Minister, the floor is yours.
Почитувани представници на меѓународните институции, амбасадори, економски лидери и експерти, почитувани министри, представници на влади, финансиски институции, академска заедница, драги гости. Голема чест е што токму Скопје денес е домаќин на овој 14-ти меѓународен форум за енергетика и одржлив развој, собир кој ги обединува најголемите умови, визионери и практичари од над 70 земји. Ова е момент на гордост, но и момент на одговорност. Горд сум што Македонија денес е центар на светската дебата за еднината на енергијата и уште погорд што светот погледнува кон нас не како кон мала земја, туку како кон сериозен партнер кој активно ја обликува агендата за одржлив развој. Фактот што денес овде во Скопје се води оваа глобална дискусија покажува дека регионалната енергетска иднина може и треба да се гради токму тука во нашата земја. Ова е нашата прилика да покажеме дека земја со мала површина може да има големо влијание, кога има јасна визија, решителност и лидерство. Сакам да ја истакнам улогата и визионерството на Министерката за енергетика, која е решена да ги придвижи работите за кратко време, да ги забрза процесите и да не дозволи Македонија да заостанува во трката со времето. Како човек кој самиот доаѓа од енергетскиот сектор, добро знам колку е важно тоа чувство на постојано движење, на промена и на одговорност. Затоа енергетиката е поставена високо на државната агенда, не како техничко прашање, туку како национален приоритет и државна стратегија. Енергетската транзиција изгледаше недостижна, скапа, бавна, но ние правиме возможна. Секој соларен панел, секоја ветерница, секоја нова електрана што работи на чиста енергија, тоа е дел од нашата современа борба за независност. Светот денес се менува со забрзано темпо. Она што порано значеше сигурен снабдувач, денес значи флексибилен систем, отпорен пазар и чисти извори на енергија. Енергетската стабилност не е веќе само економско, туку и безбедносно прашање. Глобалните турбуленции не потсетуваат дека енергетската независност е услов за економска sloboda. A bez sloboda nema razvoj, nema stabilnost, nema niti достоинство. Нашата влада стои цврсто зад реформите што ги спроведува Министерството за енергетика, но уште поважно ја гради врската помеѓу политиката и визијата. Нашата визија е јасна. Да ја подготвиме за иднината државата, за климатските предизвици, за технолошките промени и за глобалните ризици. Да создадеме регионален пример на стабилна, чиста и независна енергетска економија. Знаеме дека тоа бара време, ресурси и упорност, но уште повеќе бара вера во сопствените сили. Затоа што транзицијата не е само технолошка, таа е ментална, вредностна и цивилизацијска. Во изминатите неколку месеци направивме значителни чекори напред. Започнавме интензивно со инвестиции во обновливи извори на енергија, воспоставивме јасни регулаторни рамки, изградивме енергетски интерконектори со соседните земји, започнавме програми за енергетска ефикасност во јавниот и приватниот сектор. Се постуваат соларни и ветерни паркови кои пред само една деценија беа визија на хартија. Сега тие се реалност, дел од мрежата што ја храни иднината. Паралелно, инвестираме во човечки капитал, затоа што знаеме дека енергијата не доаѓа само од природата, туку и луѓето кои ја создаваат, иновираат и сонуваат. Дами и господа, енергијата може да се мери во џули, мегават часови или барели, но постои енергија што се мери во лабораторија, човечка енергија, енергијата на визијата, трудот и посветеност. Токму таа енергија чувствувам денес овде во оваа сала. Тоа е енергијата што ја движи Македонија, народ кој не се плаши од промени, туку ги прегрнува како предизвик и како можност. Како што рече Винстон Черчил, не дозволувај кризните времења да поминат без да го искористиш за создавање нешто ново. И ние така постапуваме. Глобалните кризи не ги доживуваме како пречки, туку како поттик за нови решенија. Од Скопје денес испраќаме порака дека одржливата енергија не е политички избор, туку морална обврска кон идните генерации. Енергетиката е срцето на економијата. И ако тоа срце чука рамномерно, целиот систем живее. Да го одржиме тој ритам е нашата заедничка одговорност, но и нашата најголема можност. Секоја инвестиција во чиста енергија е инвестиција во живот, здравје, стабилност и напредок. Секоја нова технологија што ја воведуваме, секој киловат што го произведуваме без загадување, тој е чекор кон економија што ќе ја напојува иднината. Нашата цел не е само да ги исполнуваме меѓународните цели. Нашата цел е да ја создадеме економијата на иднината, интелигентна, дигитална, зелена и отпорна. Дозволете ми да бидам јасен. Ние не бегаме од транзицијата и модерните времења. Одиме натаму со визија, знаење и партнерство. Затоа дозволете оваа конференција да не заврши со зборови, туку со дејства. Да претвориме енергијата на оваа сала во конкретни чекори. Чекори на инвестиции, во заеднички проекти, во мрежа на доверба и резултати. Верувам дека она што започнува денес во Скопје ќе биде искрата што ќе зајакне соработката меѓу земјите и ќе не однесе кон почиста, посилна и поправена енергетска иднина. Ви благодарам што сте тука, ви благодарам што ја делите ова визија со нас и ви благодарам што верувате во силата на енергијата, но уште повеќе во силата на човекот. Ви благодарам.
Thank you, Prime Minister, for your message, as it clearly underlines energy as the very foundation of our country's development, competitiveness, and future prosperity. Since its launch in 2010, this forum has evolved into a leading platform for collaboration among the 5 United Nations regional commissions: the UN Economic Commission for Africa, the UN Economic Commission for Europe, and the UN Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the UN Economic and Social Commission for Asia and the Pacific, and the UN Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia. We now move on to the next part of our opening session, where we show you a short film that brings together the voices of 4 global leaders, sharing their perspectives on the challenges and opportunities of sustainable energy. Enjoy the following video presentation.
Excellencies, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great pleasure to join you for the 14th International Forum on Energy for Sustainable Development under the inspiring theme From Goals to Action, Powering the Future with Sustainable Energy. I thank the government of North Macedonia and our United Nations Regional Commissions for hosting this important gathering. Indeed, we meet at a decisive moment for our planet. Less than 5 years remain before 2030, the horizon for achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. Yet progress on the SDG 7, ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all, remains painfully uneven. Across Africa, around 600 million people still live without electricity, a stark reminder of the deep energy divide that continues to hinder our continent's development. Can we truly speak of global progress when millions of African children continue to study by the candlelight, when health centers still operate without power, and when women cook with firewood? The question, therefore, is not whether the energy transition will happen, but how and on whose terms. For Africa, the transition must be just. It is not right that a continent rich in sunlight, wind, water, and critical minerals should be energy poor. The energy transition must power development, create jobs, and deliver dignity. It must light homes, but also power industries and transform economies. At the Economic Commission for Africa, we see 4 strategic accelerators that can help make this vision real. First, Africa must harness its critical minerals to drive a just and homegrown energy transition. Our continent holds more than 30% of global reserves of lithium, cobalt, manganese, and other minerals vital for clean technologies. But too often, these resources are exported in raw form, taking with them the jobs and value that should stay in Africa. Through the Africa Green Minerals Strategy, we are supporting our countries to move from extraction to beneficiation, from exporting raw materials to producing battery components, solar panels, and electric vehicles right here in Africa. This way, we turn mineral wealth into industrialization, jobs, and opportunity, while supporting the world's decarbonization goals. Second, we must strengthen regulatory frameworks to attract private sector investment across the electricity value chain. When policies are clear and predictable, investors respond. And when markets are transparent, innovation thrives. As we reform regulations, expand grid infrastructure, and enable on- and off-grid solutions, African nations can transform their abundant renewable sources into reliable power. And examples are already there, from Kenya's geothermal breakthroughs to Morocco's solar programs, which show that policy clarity and investment confidence go hand in hand. Third, we must step up innovation in rural electrification. Energy must do more than light homes. It must power farms, run agro-processing, create local industries, and expand livelihoods in rural communities. To achieve this, we need financing models that blends concessional and private capital, strengthen local banks, and empowers communities to own and control their energy future. Finally, we must deepen global partnerships. No region can achieve SDG 7 alone. We therefore call for stronger collaboration to accelerate access to clean cooking and electricity, to de-risk investments and ensure that climate finance flows at a scale and cost Africa requires. Across the continent, the cost of capital remains multiple times higher than in developed economies, a barrier that must no longer determine who transitions first and who transitions last. Partnerships, whether north-south, south-south, or within Africa, must deliver real investment, technology transfer, and skills to drive industrialization and secure a just, inclusive transition for all. Excellencies, this forum offers a potent opportunity to dialogue productively on these vital issues, and I look forward to the insights and outcomes that will contribute to accelerating action to meet SDG 7 goals and enable an inclusive energy transition. I thank you and wish you fruitful deliberations.
Distinguished ministers, colleagues from the United Nations Regional
Of a great honor to join you at the 14th International Forum on Energy for Sustainable Development. This year's theme, From Goals to Action, Powering the Future with Sustainable Energy, captures precisely the spirit of this moment, moving from commitments to implementation, from vision to transformation. We meet at a time defined by growing geopolitical tensions, increasingly frequent climate shocks, and rapid technological revolutions that are reshaping both the economy and the energy sector. In this context, ensuring energy sustainability is not merely an environmental goal, it is a development, security, and stability strategy. Since the last forum in Bangkok, the world has advanced important commitments. Yet the gap between ambition and implementation remains significant. At COP29, countries reaffirmed their pledge to triple renewable energy capacity and double efficiency by 2030, goals that require not only political will, but also coherent and coordinated action across regions. Latin America and the Caribbean stands out as a compelling example of what is achievable. Our region already boasts the world's cleanest electricity mix, with over 65% of power generated from renewable resources. Yet, we are only beginning to tap into our vast solar and wind potential. Our next step is clear. We must convert this comparative advantage into transformative progress. UNECLAC has put forward a framework that emphasizes the importance of institutional capacities. Top capacities, as we call them, technical, operational, political, and prospective, as essential enablers for a successful transition, particularly in the energy sector. Without technical capacities, policies lack solid foundations. Without operational capacities, implementation falters. Without political legitimacy, continuity is lost. And without foresight, we risk losing direction in an increasingly uncertain world. At UNECLAC, we firmly believe that energy transitions must be just, inclusive, and regionally coordinated. Achieving a just energy transition requires advancing simultaneously on multiple and mutually reinforcing fronts. It calls for the universalization of access to affordable electricity, including in rural and remote areas, and for a robust increase in the share of renewable energy in our power mix, alongside the progressive electrification of carbon-intensive sectors such as transport and industry. It also demands a strong improvement in energy efficiency across productive residential and building sectors, while deepening regional interconnection and integration to foster cooperation and energy security. Finally, it requires enhancing resilience in the face of external shocks, including climate and geopolitical disruptions. These initiatives must be supported by medium and long-term public policies aimed at strengthening governance, ecosystems, mobilizing investment in infrastructure, transmission, and innovation, and aligning energy policies with productive development policies to foster new value chains. Equally important is the reinforcement of energy planning through strategic foresight and robust risk management. The energy transition is not merely a technological change. It represents a profound institutional and developmental transformation. It requires the reconfiguration of production structures, the modernization of regulatory frameworks, and the strategic management of politically fragmented contexts. From UNECLAC, we advocate for an integrated vision that articulates energy, innovation, and productive development as key drivers of a new model of green inclusive, and resilient growth. Dear colleagues, moving from goals to action requires institutions with the capacity to lead, to plan, and to build legitimacy, interconnected energy systems that strengthen cooperation and flexibility, and public policies that align investment, technology, and governance with a shared vision of a low-carbon and high well-being future. As we move from goals to action, we must remember that a sustainable transition is also a social contract. It requires inclusion, gender equality, and the creation of new opportunities for all, particularly for youth, women, and communities that today depend on fossil-based economies. It also demands that we align our financing, technology, and policy frameworks to ensure that no region and no person is left behind. On behalf of the United Nations Economic Commission for Latin America and the Caribbean, I wish to thank the government of North Macedonia, UNDP, and our sister regional commissions for convening this forum. May our discussions here in Skopje help us return commitments into concrete progress and power the future with sustainable energy for all. Thank you very much.
Excellencies, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to welcome you to the International Forum on Energy for Sustainable Development. This forum is now in its 14th year. The continued interest in and support for the forum from member states, academia, the private sector, and the UN system highlight the importance of energy for sustainable development. The deliberations over these 3 days will cover issues of utmost importance to all global regions. The agenda is packed with important topics such as just energy transition, connectivity, critical minerals, finance, women in energy, youth and electric mobility. These are the building blocks of the energy transition we need for a climate-friendly, inclusive, and prosperous future. As I speak on behalf of the Asia-Pacific region, we are deeply aware of the polycrisis we face: climate change, air pollution, environmental degradation, increasing inequalities, and poverty. We firmly believe that sustainable energy is a key tool to address the root causes of many of these challenges. As power systems have been extended over the past decade, hundreds of millions of people in our region have gained access to electricity. With those connections, socioeconomic opportunities have been expanded. At the same time, our region has the highest energy demand growth and greenhouse gas emissions globally. But we are also the region where much of the innovation and new clean energy technologies are being developed and deployed. Renewable energy generation capacity in Asia and the Pacific has been growing strongly and reached nearly 2,600 gigawatts in 2024. This represents a tripling of renewable capacity over the past decade, demonstrating what is possible with the right policies, finance, and technology. While this progress is encouraging, we must accelerate efforts. 2 years ago, at COP28, countries collectively pledged to triple the global renewable energy capacity by 2030. The Asia-Pacific region has shown that it is ready to play its part in reaching this global goal. Many of our member states are taking bold steps to ramp up renewables, interconnect their grids, unlock more finance, and decarbonize key end-use sectors. We are committed to continuing our work across multiple sectors to support our members through the energy transition. Our work on SDG 7 roadmaps, energy connectivity, critical mineral value chain, and energy transition finance is gathering momentum. The COP29 Green Energy Corridors and Zones Pledge reference ESCAP work on green power corridors. which seeks to ensure alignment between energy connectivity initiatives and the SDGs. And we have been working with partners in our region, such as the ASEAN Secretariat, to support the establishment of principles for sustainable minerals development and an ASEAN minerals development vision. These efforts serve as a model for fostering collaboration on similar priorities across our region and beyond. Our challenge is to speed up these and other developments and engage all countries, big and small, developed and developing, in the energy transition. It is vital that we continue dialogue such as this forum to cooperate with other global regions and share our insights and successes. I wish you fruitful discussions and outcomes from this forum. Thank you very much.
Good morning from Beirut, and welcome to the 14th International Forum on Energy for Sustainable Development. It's a pleasure to join you, and I would like to begin by congratulating the government of North Macedonia, our sister regional commissions, and UNDP for convening this important gathering under the theme From Goals to Action, Powering the Future with Sustainable Energy. This year's forum comes at a defining moment. Around the world, energy systems face mounting pressures from climate change, economic uncertainty, and shifting geopolitics. But these challenges also open the door to transformation, to reimagine how we produce, share, and use energy in ways that are sustainable, secure, and inclusive. At the heart of this transformation lie three enablers: connectivity, digitalization, and human capital. First, connectivity. Regional energy connectivity is not just about linking grids, it's about linking futures. By integrating markets, harmonizing regulations, and sharing resources, we can improve efficiency, strengthen resilience, and accelerate the transitions to renewables. In the Arab region, UNESCWA is supporting cross-border electricity interconnections from the Gulf to the Levant, to North Africa, to Europe, to enable integrated markets that deliver energy security and shared prosperity. Connectivity also means linking sectors: energy, minerals, industry, water, and food, to create coherent systems that deliver sustainable development and climate actions. And as countries accelerate the energy transition, the sustainable management of critical raw materials and minerals will be essential to ensure resilient supply chains and fair access to the resources that underpin renewable technologies. UNESCWA's ongoing joint work with our sister regional commissions and the wide UN system is supporting countries to apply best practices towards just and inclusive critical energy transitions minerals. Second, digitalization. Digital technologies from AI and big data to blockchain and smart grids are reshaping the energy landscape. They help optimize grid operations, forecast demand, and ensure transparency in energy markets. Through UNESCWA's upcoming joint work with our sister regional commissions, ECE and UNESCAP, on digital governance of power grids in countries with special needs, we aim to demonstrate how digital tools can strengthen reliability, efficiency, and inclusiveness, even in fragile settings. But digitalization must serve people, not replace them. That's why the third pillar, human capital, is very essential. The energy transition will only succeed if our people are equipped with the right skills. Investing in education, reskilling, and empowering youth and women is the key to a just and prosperous energy future. UNESCWA's flagship report, Investing in the Future, highlights how human capital is the true driver of transformation. Colleagues, over the past 6 years at UNESCWA, throughout my term as Executive Secretary, we have worked to place the energy transition at the heart of our regional and national agendas as a foundation for climate resilience, economic opportunity, and social inclusion. We have advanced digitalization as a catalyst for innovation and transparency. And we have embedded sustainability across our programs to ensure that development in our region leaves no one behind. Through initiatives such as Regent, we have empowered communities, particularly women and youth in rural areas, to design and manage small-scale renewable energy systems that improve livelihoods and promote local entrepreneurship. Together with our partners, we have made the case that a just, inclusive, and sustainable energy transition is not a distant goal. It's the pathway to a more secure and equitable future for all. Achieving SDG 7 and the Paris Agreement goals demands actions that is connected, digital, and people-centered. And this forum plays a vital role by bringing together governments, experts, and partners to share knowledge, align strategies, and forge the cooperation that will turn our goals into concrete action. Let us seize this opportunity to build energy systems that power opportunity, resilience, and sustainability for all. Thank you.
This year's discussions will explore ways to strengthen regional and inter-regional cooperation, to ensure a just energy transition, and to scale up investment in renewable energy and energy efficiency. Together, we will showcase new technologies, we'll share successful policies, and we will reaffirm our joint commitment to achieving Sustainable Development Goal number 7, ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. On behalf of the organizers, we wish you an inspiring and a productive forum. Let's turn our shared vision into action. Let's power the future with sustainable energy. May Skopje become a catalyst of those processes. We are certain we can do it. We will now conclude the opening ceremony with an invitation to all high-level participants, including all speakers from today's session and participants of the upcoming high-level plenaries, to join us for the official group photo in the room next door through the exit to your left. Thank you all for your participation. We now invite you to a short coffee break before we continue with our working sessions. Enjoy. Dear participants, esteemed colleagues, welcome back to the working part of our forum. We now begin with the first high-level plenary session, and the moderator, Mr. Dario Ligutti, Director of Sustainable Energy Division at UNECE, will take over from here and introduce all the panelists for this session. Mr. Ligutti.
Thank you, and good morning to you all. And thank you, first of all, I would like to thank, of course, the Minister of Energy, Mining and Resources of the government of North Macedonia for supporting, having helped the regional commissions and UNDP organizing this very important forum at this stage. 14th session, so that means there were 13 before that, and this is the 14th one. So it's been a long history of this fora throughout the world, and this time taking place in Skopje in a very nice and very important time of the energy transition. As the Master of Ceremony said, this is the first session of the high-level panel following the opening remarks, and we have representatives of national governments here on the panel, as well as representatives of international organizations, which will bring their perspectives to the energy transitions, because there isn't one energy transition alone. There are many different energy transitions. And the 5 UN regional commissions that have been organizing this fora for so many years, they all bring their different views on what the energy transition should be and what sustainable energy means. And we have heard that in the speeches at the opening remarks. With that, I would like now to give the floor to Mrs. Sania Bozinovska. She's the Minister of Energy, Mining and Mineral Resources of the government of North Macedonia. Your Excellency, please.
Thank you. Distinguished guests, it's my honor to address you today on a topic that defines our shared future, from goals to action, powering the future with sustainable energy. In recent years, my country has taken decisive steps to transform its energy system and align it with the principles of sustainability, security, and affordability. Through the adoption of the Law on Energy and Law on Energy Efficiency, and with the draft law on renewable energy sources now under preparation, we are building the legal and institutional foundation for a cleaner and more competitive energy future. These reforms are already delivering measurable results. Renewable energy sources now account for more than 1/2 of the total installed electricity capacity. The number is 56% in 2024. This marks a major achievement and a clear signal that our energy transition is well underway. The structure of that progress is even more striking. Photovoltaic power plants now represent 28% of installed capacity, surpassing large hydropower at 24%. For the first time in our history, solar has overtaken hydro, a symbolic and practical milestone in our path toward decarbonization. Last year alone, solar output grew by 180% compared to the previous year. These numbers speak louder than words. They show a nation that is not just planning a transition. We are living the transition. This success is not accidental. It is the result of our clear goals, stable legislation, and strong partnerships. Our government has created a favorable environment for private investment by simplifying permitting, introducing market-based support mechanism, and ensuring transparency in energy governance. We are investing in new solar and wind projects, expanding energy storage, and modernizing the national grid to absorb growing renewable capacities. These investments are essential for maintaining reliability and flexibility as we integrate more clean energy sources. However, with progress comes responsibility. As renewable capacity grows, our focus must shift towards system integration, regional interconnections, and digital innovation. Smart grids, storage technologies, and cross-border power exchanges will make our system more resilient and connected to Europe's clean energy network. Our success depends not only on domestic effort, but also on international cooperation. We are proud to partner with the World Bank, the EBRD, and KfW, whose financial instruments and technical expertise has been vital in developing bankable green projects. Together, we are mobilizing private capital, reducing risk, and ensuring that our energy transition is both ambitious and achievable. Equally important is our commitment to a just energy transition. Moving away from coal is not merely an environmental decision, it's a social one. We are supporting over 5,000 workers and communities affected by the coal phase out, helping them retrain, diversify local economies, and secure green jobs. The transition is delicate, with concerns about job losses, rising energy costs, and regional downturns. Our experience shows that transparent communication, clearly outlining both the risks and the opportunities, help foster trust throughout this process. At the same time, energy efficiency remains at the heart of our strategy. The cleanest energy is the one we do not consume. By improving efficiency in public buildings, supporting municipalities, and helping households lower their energy use, we are cutting costs, reducing emissions, and improving quality of life for our citizens. The numbers confirm it. We are moving from goals to action. Renewable capacity continues to expand, energy intensity is declining, and investor confidence is stronger than ever. Yet, this is only the beginning. Our task now is to scale up, to turn hundreds of megawatts into gigawatts, and pilot projects into long-term transformation. To our partners here today, your financing, technology, and expertise are indispensable. And to our citizens, your engagement and awareness are the foundation of success. Let us make this decade one of decisive action. Let us move beyond targets and truly power the future with sustainable energy. For the country, for the region, and for the generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Very impressive and ambitious, remarkable achievements done here in North Macedonia on both energy efficiency, which many times is the little sister of, or little brother of the SDG 7 metrics and on the renewable energy installed capacity. But what I would like to highlight the most from your speech is the need for regional cooperation, international cooperation. Macedonia is a small country, and you mentioned energy connectivity, international cooperation. You have here 6 UN organizations from the UN system cooperating for many years in bringing forward this element, this dimension as well. So we can only be very happy to hear that you support regional cooperation in the different forms, whether physical, through energy connections, or as well in a forum like this one. So thank you very much for your speech. I would like to give now the floor to Mr. Artur Lorkovski. He's the director of the Energy Community Secretariat. Mr. Lorkovski, please.
Thank you very much for having me, and I would be very much privileged to elaborate on that what you mentioned on this regional context of cooperation when it comes to transition. And let me cut straight to the task, this task before me today, because I think every minute of time allotted to this meeting is very precious. No one in this room, and I think also among us, the panelists, needs reminding that the energy security and decarbonization are equally urgent objectives before us. To address them, we cannot content ourselves with declarations or distant targets. We must center our actions today and on the reforms that make both possible. Because these 2 targets, these 2 objectives are mutually reinforcing goals. Lasting energy security will only be achieved through a just and a sustainable energy transition, which we are witnessing now in the Western Balkan region. My fellow panelists will no doubt underline delivering on both goals will require unprecedented level of financing, and financing always was the matter of discussion in the region. However, important is to underline that to attract this financing, the reforms we implement must be credible. So they must be anchored in law, backed by institutions, and so that they can be trusted by investors. And the energy community I represent today was built for this moment. We provide the legal, policy and cooperative foundation that enables such reforms to take root, investments to flow, and regional ambition to translate into measurable progress. The proof this framework works is evident across the region. Just last week, the Energy Community Secretariat issued 2025 CBAM Readiness Tracker that confirmed that our contracting parties are turning alignment with the European Union's climate framework into a driver of integration and decarbonization. A tangible energy transition is unfolding in the region. In 2024 only, carbon intensity fell by average in the region by 11%. This is unprecedented development. While renewable capacity, other than the huge hydro renewable capacity, expanded by more than 50% between 2020 and 2024. These are the figures you cannot discuss with. These are the facts, and we should be very proud of that. North Macedonia, and thank you very much, Minister, for your leadership, but also Serbia, Moldova and Montenegro are approaching a point of no return on the path toward coupling of their electricity markets with the European Union even before the accession to the European Union. This market coupling is the cornerstone of our collective regional energy transition. On the one hand, it will drive diversification to ensure security and security of electricity supply. On the other hand, it will speed up decarbonization, creating a single, transparent space where clean energy can compete, supported by price signals that reward efficiency and investments in renewables. We are on path, and we will achieve this market coupling soon, at least the point of non-return for that process. I am also confident that market integration will unlock financing at scale, but only if it moves in lockstep with carbon pricing policies and the long-term planning that give investors confidence to commit. Carbon pricing will level the playing field, aligning our economies with Europe's low-carbon future, while generating revenues for governments that can be reinvested in this transition. The Energy Committee Secretariat is supporting this discussion on carbon pricing, helping contracting parties design and align the domestic carbon pricing instruments with the future EU ETS participation. The full potential will be realized through regional coordination again and convergence of systems, assuring fairness and market stability. And this is exactly the topic we are inviting ministers to give us the guidance during the Ministerial Council in December this year. So if carbon pricing will ensure market fairness, national energy and climate plans will define credibility and predictability, providing the governance and the long-term vision that investors need to commit. Because this governance framework ensures that national action remains predictable, transparent and aligned with the European Union objectives. It serves as an open invitation for external partners to co-finance and accelerate the transition. Together, these measures send a clear signal. The region and North Macedonia are ready, and our transition is bankable. But it's also time where we, frankly speaking, must recognize that the success of this transition will ultimately be judged on how deeply its benefit reach across the societies. Every reform we pass must deliver for people, for mostly, for workers, for vulnerable households, and for coal communities that have kept our lights for generation. And I just want to announce that today the Secretariat released a study that offers the first comprehensive blueprint for tackling energy poverty in the region through building renovation and the application of the energy efficiency first principle. The study shows unequivocally that deep energy renovations could cut households' demand by more than 60%, improve health, and create up to 19 jobs for every million euro invested in that. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to move from goals to action at the regional level as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Lorkowski, for providing us with a regional view on the achievements and the progress made in these countries. And as you said, this progress has been made thanks to policies, national policies, which are coherent and consistent. And I like particularly the aspect that you mentioned. Now is the time for regional coordination as the countries move towards EU accession, and a number of EU rules will have starting having impact on the region, particularly even if not yet part of the European Union. Policy coordination, as you said, it will be very, very important and very fundamental to bring the next stage of the energy transition, which is not simply adding renewable energy and enhancing energy efficiency, but is actually undertaking a systemic transformation of the energy and the industry and the building, and as we heard from Mr. Lorkowski. So thank you very much for that speech and for that perspective. Now I would like to give the floor to Mr. Peter Holiksa, and I'm particularly glad that he managed to make it here after a very adventurous trip. So we'll please welcome Mr. Peter Holiksa, Deputy State Secretary for EU, European Union Affairs and International Relations at the Ministry of Energy of Hungary. Mr. Holiksa.
Thank you very much. Dear Ministers, Excellencies, colleagues, friends. Let me begin with the statement. The Western Balkan states are very, very important partners to Hungary. With North Macedonia, we enjoy particularly strong and strategic level bilateral relations. It is a great pleasure to be a frequent guest here. Thank you very much for invitation. We fully support the entire region in the process of EU integration, which of course has political, cultural, commercial and many other aspects, but today we are here for the energy cooperation. Some of the many important ways to support this integration is by physically connecting our networks, then harmonizing our operations, market rules and standards. We really appreciate the efforts of the energy community in this field. It was great to work with you during the Hungarian presidency last year. I think we could support a lot these initiatives and these action plans. Hungary has a significant role as well in the region, since our system is practically the northern entry point, transmitting power from the Balkans towards the large European electricity grid and the wider European markets. More than that, nearly half of the Hungarian electricity import is coming from this region through the Serbian and the Croatian interconnectors. Those 400 kV lines are vital in the region, therefore we will further enhance our transmission capacities, including the Pannonian Corridor project with Serbia and the new interconnector with Romania. Both are already featured in the ENTSO 10-year network development plan. The connection is not only about hardwares and wires, but also about markets. The Hungarian power exchange is linked to Central Europe's day-ahead market, and several Balkan countries, including North Macedonia, using HUPIX prices as a benchmark. I think it's a really great practice, even before the full market coupling. Our grids, price signals, trading standards are being harmonized in the region. The development of electricity networks is also a pillar of our domestic energy transition strategy. I think we can all agree that our grids are under increasing stress since the renewable generation grows rapidly. We need smarter grids, improved cross-border coordination, flexible system management to prevent blackouts, and to make the best possible use of existing infrastructure and new generation capacities. Another key aspect of a successful energy transition, in our view, is technology neutrality. We must recognize that the 2050 net zero goals cannot be achieved without nuclear technology, and we must not exclude natural gas either. It remains far less polluting than the coal, and it plays a crucial role in balancing weather-dependent renewable generation sources. Thirdly, ambitions must go hand in hand with realistic targets. We are responsible for ensuring that our households and industries are not overburdened, and to maintain both public and investor trust by accessible financing and stable and yet adaptable framework that safeguards competitiveness. Hungary's energy transition is guided by these considerations, with energy sovereignty as a key priority. We are determined to make the most of our domestic resources, primarily renewables. Thanks to that strategy, now we have more than 8.2 gigawatt solar generation capacity installed. That is actually more than our peak demand, and it accounts nearly for 30% of the entire generation, coming from 317,000 rooftop and industrial plants. These figures keep Hungary among the leaders on European level when it comes to solar penetration, but on the other hand, it also increases the periods of negative electricity prices. That's the other side of the story. I think we have to speak more and more about that. The electricity market is changing a lot recently, and the price spikes are much more frequent than before. Another great asset we have is geothermal. Hungary is building on an excellent condition and geological condition and proven success in district heating. Today, more than 1,000 wells are in operation nationwide, and it means almost 1 gigawatt of installed geothermal heating capacity, supplying renewable heat to 25 cities. We will double it by 2030. This way, we will strengthen our energy sovereignty, reduce gas dependency, CO2 emissions, and also CO2 quota expenditure. Beyond PV and geothermal, we are in the process to expand our nuclear generation portfolio and also to install 3 combined cycle gas turbines to provide fast and dispatchable support to the grid, and to phase out our last remaining coal power plant. Lastly, battery storage is becoming central to the energy transition of Hungary, given our generation mix and the lack of mountains for pumped hydro plants. Luckily, North Macedonia has better conditions for that. Unfortunately for us, batteries left so far. but we launched support programs, and thanks to that, in the coming years, we will reach 1 gigawatt capacity, and we also enable energy communities to participate in demand response and self-consumption. Making the battery business model work can be challenging, at least that's my early experience. To manage connection costs and timelines, we promote co-location with solar plants, which improves grid stability and optimizes single connection points, since a PV plant in our region typically operates at only 13 to 15% efficiency annually. So during the rest of the time, those connection points remain unused. The assets behind are not generating neither electricity nor revenues. So profitability is affected by many factors here, like market saturation, high investment costs in the beginning, price volatility, and technical limitations, including degradation and efficiency losses. These factors show that a successful battery business model requires careful planning, flexible strategies, and supportive regulatory frameworks. In summary, Hungary is pursuing energy transition that is secure, technology neutral, and affordable, making full use of domestic resources by balancing between ambition and realistic goals and competitiveness. Thank you very much. I look forward to hearing from the fellow panelists and continue this discussion after the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Olica. I particularly retain 2 points from your presentation. The first one, the importance, the role of integration and connection of energy systems, which is not only an infrastructure perspective, it's not only an infrastructure challenge, but as you say, it's actually connecting people and across the region, and which is a very, very important point, people and markets and economic development opportunities. So that's a very, very important point. And the second point I would like to highlight is the importance of energy diversification. You mentioned a number of energy technologies going from the traditional ones to the more recent ones, if we can call them like that. And that is a very important point, particularly when looking at the energy security perspective, which has become of fundamental and critical importance in this region recently. And without energy security, there is no just transition, as one of the speakers said before, and therefore there is no energy transition overall. So thank you for that perspective. I would like now to give the floor to Mr. Ion Muntean. He's the director of the National Center for Sustainable Energy under the Ministry of Energy of the Republic of Moldova. Mr. Muntean, please.
Thank you. Madam Minister, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor for me to participate in this forum and to contribute to the dialogue on how to accelerate sustainable energy transition in our region and beyond. I would like to thank you to the government of North Macedonia for organization of this event, also for UNDP and United Nations regional commissions. It's a very proper moment to discuss now the emerging issues our countries faces. We met at a critical time. Energy security, affordability, and sustainability have become defining issues for all our countries. The multiple crises we faced during recent years, starting from energy price volatility, war in Ukraine, and the acceleration of the impact of the climate change, tested the resilience of our citizens, our economies, our energy sectors. Yet they also reminded us of enormous opportunity to accelerate clean energy transition as a pathway to both resilience and development. When we speak about energy for sustainable development, it is not only about, we must remember that it is not only about the technology and production capacity, it is about energy which serves citizens and societies. In my view, energy for sustainable development has to meet 4 key criteria. First of all, it has to be accessible, it has to be clean, it has to be produced and used efficiently, and it has to be affordable. Maybe some of you will disagree with me on some aspects, but allow me to illustrate on the example of my own country, Republic of Moldova. Moldova can be considered a study case that demonstrates an essential lesson. Cheap energy doesn't bring automatically sustainable development. For many years, cheap energy in Republic of Moldova was used as a political instrument for keeping political pressure and also to control economic development. The sharp increase in energy prices in the last years, energy crisis in the region, war in Ukraine, made us to rethink our energy strategy, our actions, and energy efficiency became the second governmental priority in our country. Very important energy infrastructure projects started to be developed as we face it, and we have seen what means a weak energy infrastructure system when the Ukrainian energy system, energy infrastructure was attacked by Russian militaries. When we have also seen that the energy infrastructure is a primary target during the conflicts. When energy systems are destroyed, development stops, industries are closing, people are leaving, and of course this is has a very negative impact on development. Clean energy is not longer a policy goal, it is a consumer expectation. People, businesses want to be sure that and wants to know that the energy they consume is clean energy. This is now reflected in the in all our national policies, and we are very happy to see the impressive progress of renewables in the last years. Director Lorkovsky presented some facts in this regard. Now EU has a clear commitment towards climate neutrality by 2050, and this is no longer a vision. These are real facts, real things which are happening. Sustainable development also means support to the vulnerable groups. When the prices are increasing, when the energy supply is affected, the most vulnerable groups are firstly affected. That's why in our energy policies we have to consider targeted instruments, mechanisms to support vulnerable groups. At the same time, we must ensure that energy transition creates new opportunities for local businesses, for women, for young professionals who will shape the next generation of the energy sector. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme of this forum, from goals to action, reflects perfectly what we need now. Ambitious strategies are important, but important also is it's the implementation which changes the reality. Energy for sustainable development is not only about the kilowatt hours, it is about freedom, dignity, and opportunity. No country can achieve alone sustainable energy transition, but together we can make it faster, fair, and more effective. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Montean. I particularly liked the part about the energy affordability that you mentioned, a very, very important issue. This region, we're blessed with having had historically low levels of energy poverty and very low levels or very high levels of energy, access to energy. Difference with other regions, or some of my colleagues from the other regional commissions actually deal with access to energy initially, which is a fundamental, as you know, human right. And here we had a different issue instead. Energy was too cheap and was wasted actually, and there was energy, not sustainable energy, wasted. And therefore the double challenge, the conundrum of how to transform systems to make them more sustainable while maintaining energy affordable at affordable levels for the population and for the industry at large. And as you said, that is one of the trade-offs, one of the difficulties of the energy transition, one of the difficulties that policymakers face every day in how to make this happen going forward. Thank you for that. Now I would like many of the speakers have talked about finance, and we have a representative of the financial community, of the international financial community, as our last speaker on this panel. I would like to give the floor now to Mr. Grzegorz Zieliński, Director of the Head of Energy Europe at the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Mr. Zieliński, please.
Thank you, and good morning. I would like to start with a couple of good news. First, I'm the last speaker. The second good news is that we have already heard a lot this morning about the size of the challenge ahead of us, what it is, how big it is. So I'm not going to repeat that. I'm scrapping a part of my presentation, making it even, my intervention making it even shorter. But that's the first two good news, which unfortunately has to be followed by a not so good news. And that not so good news refers to changing environment and increasing challenges in developing green energy transition. And that's linked to increased geopolitical tensions, that linked to increased supply chain disruptions, as well as extreme weather events that have triggered severe volatility in energy prices. And I'm talking about volatility of energy prices, as this is one of the key elements which make it more difficult to finance green energy transition projects. Again, speaking from the point of view of a financier, of the banker, and just for the record, I'm talking development banker, not commercial banker, it really becomes difficult in these circumstances to continue as initially planned. So rather than focusing on what has to be done, let me just tell you a few words what EBRD has been focusing on in the last few years and how we have been delivering our part of commitment. This is linked to 4 action points. First, and guided by our policies and strategies, we have focused on just energy transition, supporting coal-dependent regions with inclusive strategies. There's an internal term flying around the walls of EBRD in our headquarters in London, where we try to replace coal mining with terms like wind mining or sun mining. It's all about creating new jobs for those who, as a result of just transition, are going to lose their jobs in the mining sector. The second action point relates to scaling up renewables. We've talked about it already quite a bit this morning. So it's all about coming up with large-scale investment in solar, wind, hydro, and storage. But that's not enough. The third action point is the investment in energy system modernization, investing in digitalization, smart grid, and cybersecurity. And no successful energy transition will happen without scaling up renewables coming in parallel with massive investment in power grids. And the last and fourth action point is innovative financing. When we're talking about blending concessional financing with commercial capital to unlock private sector investments. Now, I've mentioned these 4 action points, but please be aware that they have allowed us to deliver massive investments in energy sector. EBRD works in 40 countries, spanning from Central Asia through eastern flank of Europe to southern and eastern Mediterranean, and now expanding even to sub-Saharan Africa. In energy, we've already committed over 25 billion euro in over 500 projects and mobilized over just under 20 billion euro from other sources. But the transition cannot happen in isolation. That point has been made already earlier today as well. There is a big need for much deeper collaboration. Collaboration between the governments, collaboration between the multilateral development banks, such as the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, collaboration with private sector, with civil societies, with state-owned enterprises, the regulators, and many other stakeholders as well. And that collaboration must not be limited just to energy sector. It has to expand into finance, into education, into technology, but also into manufacturing, especially manufacturing that feeds supply, that is a supply chain for green energy sector. Now, to slowly wrap up my intervention, allow me to share with you also 3 examples of something that is still an innovative solution on the financing and policy dialogue side that EBRD has been successfully deploying in our region. First, not necessarily a cutting-edge, brand new subject, by contracts for difference as a de-risking instrument for renewable energy auction has been proven extremely successful in mobilizing private capital to support green energy transition. EBRD has supported a number of countries in the region, Romania, Bulgaria, Albania, Serbia, just naming a few, that have successfully implemented support system in the form of contracts for difference that are providing investments in renewable energy generation at scale. Another innovative solution which provides a more holistic view on the situation is the energy transition platforms. That's platforms that combine infrastructure, policy reform, and workforce support, effectively trying to put all elements together. And then the third point, on a more micro level, EBRD has provided green financing solution to small and medium-sized enterprises to help them investing in clean energy. So I would say that the green energy transition is out there, but it's not just about capital. It is about creating the right conditions, including a robust regulatory framework, competitive markets, but very importantly, also streaming permitting for green energy projects. And it's about inclusive financing. I will end up with highlighting that the time for pilot projects is well gone now, and what we need is scale, is speed, and it's solidarity in action. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zielinski, for highlighting an important and successful project that has been implemented in North Macedonia, which is the Green Finance Facility, where you have an example of collaboration between the development financial institutions, in the case the EBRD, the UN system, we have UNDP, our own regional commission, the International Office for Migration involved, and the local office of the United Nations Secretariat, as well as several parts of the government involved and the private sector. So let's not forget a key to the success to the energy transition is the participation, is the engagement, is the actions that the private sector take, and particularly small and medium enterprises in this case. And I cannot only I can only agree with you that now is the time to scale up, particularly in this region. I think it's, and as you said, scaling up successful projects, successful technologies, successful infrastructure projects like this, many of them were mentioned by the speakers at this panel before, is the key for this region to join the European Union and become as well an example for the rest of the world through collaboration of the different stakeholders that were mentioned and through innovative financial instruments. With that, I thank you. I thank for the perspectives that the different panelists have given to the challenges, but as well the opportunities and the progress that this region has made in the energy transition. And please join me in thanking them again, once again, before we leave the floor for the second panel.
Thank you very much, panelists of the first high-level plenary session. Dear colleagues, we continue with the second high-level plenary session, straight on to business. We invite the panelists of the second high-level plenary session to take the floor. As we continue with the working session of the forum, we invite the moderator of the second high-level plenary session, Mr. Hongpeng Liu, to take the table and to announce all the panelists of the second high-level plenary session. Mr. Liu.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think we are all set now for the session 2. I want to thank session 1, and my colleague Dario made a very good example to control the time. And I also want to just follow you. I'm very glad to see we have this prestigious panel and also gender balanced panel. I thank you so much for this good opportunity. Thank you. I think this morning we had the first high-level session. Also, we have a keynote from the host and also from our sister regional commissions and UNDP. So they made a very good point. I will not repeat any of the key points. I just want to go straight for our panelists. And as you know, we have very good, this kind of high-level plenary. And first, I just want to invite Madam Inga Pakalazzi, who is Vice Deputy Minister of Economy and Sustainable Development from Georgia. The floor is yours, Madam.
Thank you. Honorable Ministers, distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor for me to represent Georgia today at this significant forum, where we come together to share experiences and chart the future of sustainable energy development. Allow me to begin by expressing my sincere appreciation to the government of North Macedonia for hosting and organizing this important event. Your commitment to advancing regional dialogue on sustainable energy and fostering collaboration among our countries is truly valuable. Georgia has made significant strides in recent years to align its national energy policies with global sustainable development goals, especially SDG 7, which focuses on ensuring access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all. This alignment is not only a priority on paper, but a guiding principle in our actual policy design and implementation. Through collaborative efforts with UN partners like UNECE and UNESCAP, we have developed a comprehensive SDG 7 roadmap. This roadmap serves as a blueprint that integrates renewable energy expansion, energy efficiency improvements, and regional energy cooperation. It allows us to prioritize investments strategically, optimize resources use, and address vulnerabilities in our energy infrastructure. A key focus for Georgia is increasing renewable energy penetration. Our country has rich potential in hydropower, solar and wind resources, and we're actively developing projects to harness these clean energy resources. This helps us reduce carbon emissions, increase energy security, and create green jobs, contributing to both environmental and socio-economic goals. Energy efficiency is another cornerstone for us. We recognize that demand-side management and reducing losses across the system are critical to meeting future energy needs sustainability. We are implementing energy efficiency programs across sectors, from buildings and industry to transport, aiming to lower consumption without sacrificing economic growth. Regional energy connectivity remains a strategic priority for Georgia. Being a bridge between Europe and Asia, we are working to strengthen cross-border power trade and grid interconnections. This enhances system resilience, allows for better integration of renewables, and opens new markets for electricity exchange. We believe regional cooperation is essential to overcome common challenges such as supply disruptions and to build a resilient energy system that benefits all. However, despite the progress, challenges remain. Financing the energy transition, regulatory reforms, technological capacity and public awareness are areas that require continuous attention and improvement. We value the role of international cooperation, technical assistance and knowledge exchange in overcoming these obstacles. Today, I look forward to fruitful discussion with all of you. Together we can accelerate the energy transition, share the best practices and create sustainable policies that will empower countries and communities. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Minister Inga, for sharing Georgia's very impressive progress in SDG 7. So actually, SDG 7 roadmap, we worked together with Georgia, I think, which outlined the development strategy. And also, as you said, provide the guidance to support the country to accelerate your sustainable energy transition. It's really a privilege to work with your government, and also I hope this will be useful. We will continue to work together to support your energy transition. Thank you very much. So let's move to invite Ms. Giovanna Joksimovic, Assistant Minister of International Cooperation and European Integration, Ministry of Mining and Energy, Serbia. The floor is yours, Minister.
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say that I'm grateful to represent here the Ministry of Mining and Energy of the Republic of Serbia on this important conference in this beautiful building in this beautiful country. I would also like to say thank you to government of the North Macedonia, and also special thanks to Madam Minister Sanja Božinovska, with whom we have really good and very fruitful cooperation. I would also like to say that, dear ladies and gentlemen, it's always a pleasure to deliver the results. It's always a pleasure to drive and to accelerate not just on reforms on the paper as regulatory and strategically important documents that we deliver, but it's also important to take care of the citizens, to take care of the economy, to be realistic, yet to be ambitious enough. I'm also here today as the Vice Chair of the UNECE Sustainable Energy Committee, so double rolling, but nevertheless, when it comes to SDGs, when it comes to international cooperation, we are thinking globally, but we need to act regionally and we need to act locally. And in all those, our collective efforts towards the building sustainability, secure and resilient energy systems is a must. We are facing with significant challenges in the energy sector, from market fluctuation to rising demand to imperative of ensuring sustainability and reliability of supply. These challenges remind us that energy is not only a vital driver to economic growth, but also a cornerstone of social stability and environmental responsibility. Republic of Serbia remains firmly committed to foster regional and international cooperation in the field of energy, advancing in green transition, and ensuring that our policies are guided by the principles of sustainability, innovation, solidarity, while steadfastly upholding the principle of leaving no one behind. Serbia is in energy transition, and it's a long and demanding process that must be gradual, yet decisive, professionally, socially, and economically grounded, based on sound technical dialogue and acceptable solutions. Currently, coal remains the backbone of the energy system in Serbia, with significant share of energy from renewables that's been growing, and approximately 38% of energy was in 2023. In accordance with our plans, every second megawatt will be produced by 2030 from renewables. It's quite challenging, yet it's ambitious and it's reachable. Existing valuable resources will need to remain the foundation of Serbia's electricity sector until renewable energy production, infrastructure for transmission and distribution, as well as storage capacities and ability to integrate renewable resources are sufficiently developed and aligned to reliable and securely replace coal-based electrical generation. In accordance with our recently adopted energy development strategy, we foresee the reforms in the energy sector to continue. Huge reforms in the energy sector and the implementation of the energy transition process, yet including the possibility of introduction of nuclear energy into Serbia energy mix after 2040. Our national energy and climate plan for period until 2030 is also envisaged very serious yet reachable targets when it comes to energy efficiency. Madam Deputy Minister also was speaking about energy efficiency, and the cheapest energy is the one that's not being spent. So it's not just energy efficiency in buildings, it's also energy efficiency in transport, in systems, in industry. And we have huge efforts taken in that sense as a country. Furthermore, I would need to say that we are the first and only country in the region that has prepared the integration with the EU electricity market. So incorporating the EU energy package into our legislation. Our goal is to connect with EU, so be part of EU when it comes to electricity, part of joint market of the EU. We are yet country in Europe, but still trying to be country as a EU member state. The increased capacity from clean sources, which we will secure, and we secured already through the 2 very successful rounds of the auctions when it comes to renewables, already reached our targets for 2030. In the past year, the increasement was almost doubled, and we have huge projects when it comes to renewables in our electricity sector as state-owned company, our EPS. Also, it's important not to neglect that the renewable energy that's been produced needs to be stored and the system needs to be balanced. So we are having the preparation for a very important construction of a reversible hydropower plant, Bistrica, as regionally important also, and regionally important projects when it comes to interconnections in electricity and transmission, the strengthening internal and external transmission system. Also, I would like to highlight that we are already connected with our neighboring countries with a strong connection when it comes to electricity, and we are now striving to have strong connection when it comes to gas interconnectors. Today, that is why we are also here present, is to talk more and to have serious actions when it comes to gas interconnections. The ones that we are delivering or designing is with Romania, and the second one is with North Macedonia, and this is something that's of the highest priority. When it comes to, let's say, upgrading of the energy transition and powering the future, the demands are huge. We need to think outside of the box. We need to think and to diversify not just the routes of supply, but also the energy mix to make sure or to try to be as much as possible self-sustainable. In our, let's say, trying to do so, we have huge support from the relevant IFESD. Some of them are here on the table, but we need to think about to strengthen even more, and if we are going to reach the targets that we set for us as the EU targets, I believe that also European Commission will be partnering us in all efforts that we are taking. And last, I will say that challenging of the energy transition requires us to think globally and both locally and regionally react. No country can achieve this transformation alone, and it demands a shared vision, coordinated action, and strong partnership across borders. By working together, aligning our policies and exchanging experience, we can build a more sustainable, secure, and inclusive energy future. This event provides us an excellent opportunity to strengthen the cooperation and reaffirm our collective commitment to cleaner and more resilient energy system for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Joksovich, and the Serbia's effort to integrate with the European energy market, especially you mentioned about the enhanced regional connectivity, really highlights the importance of institutional arrangement and the effort to work together at the regional level through international and regional cooperation. After this morning's, I heard a lot of this discussion about how those countries here to work as a European market, to integrate with the European market. That's a really good examples. Like I come from Asia Pacific. We really need this kind of regional market and the collaboration if you talk about energy transition. So in Asia Pacific, I think now only Southeast Asia as the ASEAN, now they have 11 member countries start to talk about ASEAN power grid, start to talk about ASEAN gas pipelines. So this is a part of this. I really think the good practices in Europe, which will be very helpful through this exchange of good practices. Thank you very much for this good example. Thank you. Let's just move to our next speaker, Ms. Stephanie Gill, who is the Practical Manager for Energy Europe and Central Asia from the World Bank.
I think finance is very important for all the things we discussed today about the energy transition. The floor is yours, Ms. Gill.
Thank you very much, and may I start by joining my fellow panelists in thanking the Ministry of Energy, Mining and Mineral Resources, as well as the UNDP and UN colleagues for organizing this important event. And for me, it's really an honor to be joining this panel. One of the asks from this panel is to illustrate how policy, financing and partnerships can help achieve a sustainable energy transition at scale, given ambitious timelines. And I wanted to start with a few words of context, which are more focused on this particular region, given that we have the pleasure of being hosted by North Macedonia. You may be aware that the 6 Western Balkan countries worked with the World Bank Group on a multi-sectoral analysis to chart a net zero pathway to 2050. This is the Country Climate and Development Report that was published just over a year ago, and that shows that the 6 countries need to invest about $32 billion to reach net zero by 2050. This is about a third of GDP. Now, this is of course focused on the electricity sector, on generation, we heard about transmission, etc., but also importantly, as our speakers have mentioned also, on the demand side, and so be it energy efficiency in buildings, or electrification or transport, or decarbonization of industry, etc. So this large amount, $32 billion by 2050, seems a long target, a long-time target. However, there's a clear sense of urgency, and I think that both this panel and the previous panels have highlighted how energy security really underpins a strong sense of urgency because of energy price volatility, also because some of the countries facing depletion of some of their traditional domestic resources. This is of course linked beyond the theme of energy security to that of affordability and that of competitiveness of the economy. As we all know, the carbon border adjustment mechanism is coming into force very soon. This may impact up to 50% of goods and products exported from Western Balkan, and there lies also an opportunity to leverage the sustainable transition to continue building a competitive economy, and behind this, of course, continue creating the very important local jobs. $32 billion. Most of this investment, over 85% of it, will come from the private sector. And this is where, in order to, of course, incentivize this private sector investment, the important reforms that have been mentioned, legal, regulatory, institutional frameworks, are extremely important. And indeed, the countries in this region and beyond have been extremely active in developing renewable energy, energy efficiency laws, tariff regulations, regulations to move away progressively from energy subsidies while protecting vulnerable households. We discuss also supporting auctions, including through CFDs that our colleagues from EBRD have championed in this region and beyond. Or similarly, creating power market mechanisms that can remunerate flexibility that will be increasingly needed in our systems, carbon pricing mechanisms, etc. There's been very strong progress made along those lines, and this creates a very strong foundation on the policy, regulatory, institutional framework, which is a precondition for the private sector investments to be unlocked at that scale. Now, while there has been significant progress on this front, it is still possible, and I think that the previous panel has also made reference to this, that there might be a need for further risk mitigation or innovative financing instruments in order to attract the required financing at scale and at speed. And this is particularly relevant in a context where perhaps some of the electricity off-takers in some countries may not be yet sufficiently creditworthy. It's also relevant in contexts where we consider newer technologies. And so we mentioned, for instance, battery storage, where these are deployed at utility scale. This presents certain challenges on the financing front. And similarly on the demand side, where there's demand that is extremely fragmented and there's therefore a need for a conduit, a financing mechanism. And here I wanted to highlight a few examples to share some experience that might be valuable and that could be reproduced in our countries. The first one is the example of Argentina. And Argentina, while being a large country, consumes only about twice as much electricity as the Western Balkan countries. So it's actually very comparable in terms of scale of energy demand. And about 10 years ago, Argentina was looking at drastically increasing private sector investment into renewable energy, motivated in their case by a need to reduce dependency from gas imports and associated foreign exchange reserve requirements. Now, Argentina at the time was a CCC country, did not have an excellent track record with the private sector or on financing, generally speaking. However, it put in place a very comprehensive legal regulatory framework. And from the World Bank Group side, we came in, we helped design transparent auction systems. We helped create a renewable energy fund that was established within the Ministry of Finance and that proposed risk mitigation instruments to the bidders that would bid into those transparent auctions. And that system, so that institutional arrangement, was backed by a World Bank guarantee of $500 million. So this design at scale through an institution that was going to be sustainable helped leverage over a period of 3 years, $5.5 billion of private investment. The participation of renewable energy into the electricity mix increased from 2% to 20% in 4 years. Given the several rounds of auctions, by the end of the 4 years, the country had built a track record with the private sector, which meant that there was no longer a requirement to provide World Bank guarantees. And what I want to illustrate here is how a dedicated effort to build institutions, regulatory and policy frameworks with an innovative financing instrument can help achieve a design that delivers results at scale and speed. Closer to home, I wanted to briefly touch on the example of Poland. And you may be aware that Poland, a few years back, 2017, together with the World Bank Group, we helped them design a 27 billion euro program to deliver energy efficiency solutions for households. And with a specific focus on vulnerable households and how solutions could be implemented to help those vulnerable households in particular while serving the wider population. So far, this fund, which was created under the Ministry of Environment, has supported 1 million households. In the process, it has also given birth to a new industry for heat pump manufacturing in Poland, which is now serving not only the Polish market, but other EU countries as well. It has created a lot of local jobs. We calculated 100,000 jobs in installation of equipment because it provided long-term visibility over a period of 10 years for the private sector to come in, for entrepreneurship to flourish. And this is another example where through legal regulatory frameworks, by creating a dedicated sustainable institutions and putting in place the financing arrangements and instruments, you can deliver more than an energy solution, but you can deliver economic growth and create local economic jobs as well. Now, so this is on the local financing. Moving on to partnerships briefly. I have the privilege here of sitting with our two countries, Georgia and Serbia. And it is really a key opportunity to reference how regional cooperation, regional integration, regional connectivity delivers powerfully in the energy transition and the benefits locally and regionally. And I wanted to highlight how Georgia is working on this submarine interconnector to connect the South Caucasus all the way to Europe. And in doing so is becoming a linchpin for a green energy corridor that beyond South Caucasus and Europe is going to connect all the way to Turkey and working also towards Central Asia. And from the World Bank Group, so we're delighted to partner with Georgia on this flagship initiative. Similarly, in Serbia, in partnership with North Macedonia, we have here champions that illustrate how integration on the power side, on energy with the gas side as well, in infrastructure, it delivers the results that are needed for energy security, for energy affordability, for sustainability and green energy transition. And I'm confident that the countries, while developing this infrastructure, will be able to leverage access to regional markets, gas markets, power markets, and become hubs that will be able to leverage not only infrastructure, but also the wider market mechanisms. And I just wanted to congratulate and commend the huge efforts that have been committed and the achievements on the policy, the regulatory, the institutional fronts. Also, excellent results that we already are seeing in terms of developing institutions and sustainable financing mechanisms. Kosovo has just delivered an energy efficiency fund for public buildings that has demonstrated the benefit of such mechanisms, has, through initial financing from the World Bank, demonstrated the viability and has attracted other partners to come in and finance. And we look forward to continuing to support our client countries together with other development partners in their journey towards a sustainable energy transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gill, for bringing the global, especially the World Bank experience globally for these financing perspectives. And the experiences demonstrate how targeted investment, sound policy framework, and the partnership, as you mentioned, especially the private sector's role, the 32 billion, 85% will come from private sector to achieve net zero by 2050. That's really very important how this kind of partnership can support or can accelerate the energy transition. The good examples you share from Argentina and also from this region, I think that's a very good practice to accelerate the energy transition. Thank you very much, Ms. Gill. Now let's invite Mr. Pablo Obrado Alvarez, Head of Division for Energy and Transport, Southeast Europe and Turkey, KfW Development Bank. Mr. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I would like to join my fellow panelists also on behalf of KfW and representing the German Financial Corporation here today to thank you, the government of North Macedonia and the United Nations, especially UNDP, for the opportunity to be here today. This is an honor for us, and this is a great opportunity to share our experience in this very important topic of financing sustainable energy. As you may know, KfW is the biggest national development bank in the world and is very committed to promoting sustainable energy since decades. On behalf of the German government, we are financing clean energy investments both in Germany and all around the world since many years. We have vast experience in promoting renewable energy investments, grid investments, and also energy efficiency with very big programs in Germany, in Europe, and also in other partner countries of Germany. Since the topic of the forum today is moving from goals to action, I would like to be quite concrete and share with you our experience in this region and having into account the previous interventions, I would like to not repeat what my colleagues mentioned already. Yeah, so KfW has very substantial portfolio in the energy sector in the Western Balkan regions. We have approximately 3 billion euros in investments in under implementation and preparation right now. And for the intervention today, I would like to focus on one particular field of action that we have been very focused during the last 10 years and where we think that we are doing an important contribution, which is the transformation of the utilities. So a couple of years ago, so actually approximately 1 decade ago, KfW was still financing projects from the state-owned utilities and making a very valuable contribution in preparing these projects and financing them. But we realized years ago that it is not a matter of financing project, it is a matter of financing the transformation of the utilities and the sector, and this is much more complex and requires additional instruments than just financing. And therefore, we try to elaborate a more comprehensive strategy to serve this purpose and to helping our clients and the utilities in the region to run through the energy transition. There are still a lot of barriers, financial, economic, and regulatory barriers on this path. State-owned utilities in this region operate with very low efficiency level. There is still tariff subsidies and a lot of political interference. And the lack of corporate governance reform prevents utilities from mobilizing private funds that are needed for the transformation also on their generation mix. So there is, during the last 4 years, the region made incredible progress from our point of view on the regulatory level. So with support and guidance from the from the European Union, but also with a lot of local action and very intelligent activities and initiatives in the region itself. And we are trying to contribute to that. And what we are doing concretely is we are financing the first renewable energy projects of the electricity and heating utilities in the region, helping them to diversify the generation mix and progressively decarbonize the generation portfolio with wind, solar, biomass, storage, and other technologies. We, for example, financed the first wind farms in Bosnia and North Macedonia. We are financing the first solar and wind investments of the state utilities in Serbia and Kosovo. And we are financing the rehabilitation of the large hydropower plants all around the region, which is very important for the stabilization of the energy system. So this is one topic. The other topic is to finance the extension, modernization and digitalization of the grid, transmission and distribution to secure the necessary absorption capacity, and above all with a very strong focus on regional integration. So KfW, together with our IFI colleagues, above all with EBRD, we finance the interconnectors between most of the countries of the region. We are in Serbia, we have our most important project, the Trans-Balkan Corridor, which is connecting the region to Europe, and this is something that we think we need to reinforce efforts for the years to come on that. We are also pushing reforms with policy-based lending, mainly together with the World Bank, also with AFD, with the main focus on the liberalization of the electricity market, and also here regional integration, which is from our point of view, as we heard also from the energy community today morning, the most important action at the legislative level in this region right now. And we also see a very big need for supporting the transition of the utilities with management support activities, technical systems, aiming to, for example, elaborate corporate transformation roadmaps to develop appropriate business models for specific project developments such as SPVs, BOTs, PPAs, PPPs. Then also establishing MRV systems at the utility level along the lines of in accordance with the requirements of the EU ETS and CBAM, trying to establish reporting which is in accordance with the Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive in preparation to the accession, and also developing innovative ideas like virtual power plants and big battery storage. So this is what we are doing in this region. It shows the complexity of the topic, and we think that it is extremely important not only to promote the regional cooperation and the regional integration at the institutional level, but also we are trying to work very closely with our partners to deliver a coordinated and effective outcome. Right now, the main share of our pipeline, approximately 85%, is co-financed by EBRD or EIB, and at the policy lending level, we are, as I mentioned before, we are cooperating very closely with AFD, with the French Corporation, and the World Bank. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Overett. Yeah, we have one question from intervention. Yes, please.
Thank you very much. Just one kind reminder, as a representative of the government of the Republic of Serbia and under the capacity of the organization of this event by United Nations, I'm kindly reminding on United Nations Security Committee Resolutions 1244 and neutrality when it comes to representation of certain parts of this important resolution. So please take into account, dear participants, dear panelists. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for this intervention. And also, I think from our colleague from KfW, give the overview of your portfolio and also your focus about energy transition, especially through this innovative financing mechanism. Thank you very much. Now I would like to invite my colleague from UNDP, who is the Director for Sustainable Energy Hub from UNDP, Mr. Riyad Mahdi. Thank you very much for coming. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Hang Pang, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. It's already after 12 o'clock, and I will be very fast in order for you to be able to eat. It's really, for me, a privilege to be here. First of all, I would like to extend my appreciation to the government of North Macedonia and my sister agencies and all the delegates, you are all here, for this important forum. At such pivotal moment between the United Nations General Assembly 80th anniversary and the upcoming COP30 in Belém in Brazil. we come together under the theme that was behind From Goals to Action, Powering the Future with Sustainable Energy. But I invite you to reflect during those 3 days. What kind of future are we striving for? Especially in an era marked by conflict, humanitarian crisis, environmental degradation, and growing global uncertainty. Let us take a closer look at the regional outlook. Number one, energy investment are declining in this region. It is a reality that we are all facing. In 2015, just 10 years ago, annual energy investment in Eurasia reached $190 billion. But since then, we've seen a steady downward trend, reaching $135 billion in 2022. So the lowest point in over a decade. That is very important to note. Number two, fossil fuel dependency remains very high. It is another reality. Across the region, industry makes up around 40% of the GDP, and it continues to rely heavily on fossil fuel. Number three, fossil fuel imports are putting massive pressure on national budgets. In 2022, during the energy crisis, EU countries spent nearly $350 billion on coal and natural gas import, 3 times more than 2021. 3 times, colleagues. And about 1/3 of that spending was just to keep the lights on. And on top of all those big numbers, many people are left behind. Let's see a little bit closer. I like the intervention of my colleague from Moldova. At the start of the energy crisis, 71% of the households were considered energy vulnerable. 71%. Spending 90% or more of their income just to heat their home in winter. Second point, we can optimize the fossil fuel subsidies in order to change the current situation. As you may know, 20% of the richest households receive more than a quarter of the support, while the poorest receive, 20% of the poorest receive only 13%. Another reality. That's why the just energy transition is essential. It is not just a question of energy transition. It is a question of being just. And speaking of winter, and we feel it today in Skopje, the beginning, it's quite cold. And the cold season is just beginning. District heating system here rely heavily on natural gas and coal. Households without district heating often use individual gas boilers or burn coal or firewood. As a result, buildings in this region consume 2 to 3 times more energy per square meter than those in Western Europe. Thanks to Her Excellency, the Minister Sania Mozniskovska, stated the strategy of accelerating the energy transition and energy efficiency. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, it tells us that our progress can no longer measure simply by the numbers of megawatts of renewable that we install. Today, the challenge is much more complex. We must think about resilience in our energy system, like Moldova has mentioned. We must think about energy security, like mentioned previously in the panel by the representative of Hungary. Above all this, we must think about the well-being of people, and that is the priority of all of us, the human development. First and foremost, financing at the right scale, like mentioned by the financial institution, speed is still missing. Achieving SDG 7 requires $3.8 trillion annually until 2030, $3.8 trillion. And innovative financing mechanisms are essential to de-risk, from policy de-risking to financial de-risking in order to open the market. Create bankable projects, potentially saving $50 trillion globally through 2050. So ambition in this region is high. Her Excellency, the representative of the government of Serbia, alone, this country set an investment target of $27 billion in its national energy and climate plan. Between 2018 and 2023, West Balkan economies allocated $5.8 billion of energy, yet more that is needed. One of the most effective tools in this region remained the phase out from fossil fuel subsidies. Eliminating direct subsidies for fossil fuel and fossil-based electricity could free up more than 500 million euro every year. This money could be directed to social program, clean energy investment. This is what we've done in Latin America, where we were able to create, with some small financial innovation, to redirect the fossil fuel to develop e-mobility sector. Second, unlocking new investment open doors beyond traditional technologies and market. And innovation is already happening. And I'm really impressed in the case of Serbia, where a large scale of solar thermal project for district heating integrates heat pump, electrical boiler, and seasonal storage as an example of a system thinking in action. And in Serbia, geothermal energy has a huge untapped potential, estimated to 370 megawatts, but only 80 megawatts are currently being used. With the right investment and innovation, geothermal could meet up to 15% of the global electricity demand growth by 2050. This is the kind of thinking we need, out of the box, beyond the conventional. And third, we talked about it this morning in the opening remarks of different delegates. Digital transformation is a real game changer for energy system. Smarter grid can reduce inefficiency, build resilience, and cut emissions. Today, unreliable power grids in developing countries could result in nearly $1.3 trillion in lost output through 2030. $1.3 trillion. Globally, power system losses account for 1 gigaton of CO2 emission each year. Digital tools like smart grids could reduce peak load between 8 to 12% in 2050. A strong example in North Macedonia, partnership with Agence Française de Développement to modernize and digitalize its transmission grid, empowering the country to better manage variability and integrate renewables. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, dear colleagues, let me end with this. Renewables are no longer just a solution to climate crisis. They are a tool of sovereignty. They are a tool of independence. They are a tool of economic growth. Thanks to renewable, countries have reduced import of 700 million tons of coal and 400 billion cubic meters of natural gas. And in the Western Balkans, energy efficiency in public building could cut consumption by up to 50%. That means lower bills, greater energy security, and healthier, more comfortable environment, not only for the student, but also for the patient in the hospital and for the workers alike. So let's keep up our focus. Let's remember what is at stake, what is possible, and let's truly move from goals to action and build the future power by sustainable resilience and inclusive energy. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Riyadh. I like your presentation always with solid data and also with these inspiring perspectives from your point of view at the global level. I really think you concluded this session very well, give a lot of good considerations for inclusive, just, and locally driven energy transitions. And also this truly captures the essence of moving from goals to action. This is exactly our theme for this forum. I want to thank all of our panelists and also thank for the participants. I think today's discussion is truly clearly shown the journey from goals to action is both urgent and also achievable. When we align our policies, investment and partnerships towards shared vision of sustainable energy for all. I want to thank all of you with your inspiring ideas, good practices. I also want to invite all the participants and to join me have another round of applause for our participants and also panelists. So much and hope we will have a fruitful discussion for the remainder of this forum. Thank you. Let's conclude this session.